Ever looked at something you were about to throw away and wondered if it could become beautiful again? In today's video from Nature Nest, we'll explore creative ways to transform everyday trash into stunning garden borders, cozy backyard accents, and colorful patio ideas. Every project here is simple, inspiring, and designed to turn small spaces into living works of art. You'll find timestamps in this video so you can jump to what you need. And if you have a question, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy what you see, don't just watch, try it. Use what you already have, add your creativity, and watch your garden come alive. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story, and a real family. This isn't just a video, it's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit that button, you're not just helping a creator grow. You're keeping a dream alive. You're giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. In the heart of a tiny backyard, where the golden light of autumn lingers gently on each petal, a whimsical idea comes alive. An old bicycle, once forgotten in the corner of a garage, finds a second life in the garden. Its wheels, painted in shades of pastel blue, emerald green, and rustic bronze, now stand proudly against a wooden fence, no longer instruments of travel, but guardians of blossoms. The spokes of these recycled wheels stretch like open arms, ready to cradle life once again. Ivy winds gracefully through the metal lines, weaving patterns that whisper of patience and growth. Around their base, chrysanthemums burst with fiery oranges, while marigolds scatter gold across the earth like sunlight captured in bloom. Asters sway gently, their purple crowns nodding to each passing breeze, while sedum autumn joy deepens into shades of rose and crimson. Neighbors passing by pause at the sight. What was once considered junk, a scrap destined for the landfill, has become the centerpiece of a living canvas. The wheels, now transformed, draw curious smiles and quiet admiration. Children point and giggle, enchanted by the playful dance of flowers between spokes, while birds rest on the edges, singing their soft songs of the season. There is something profoundly poetic in this transformation. The wheel, once built for movement, now stands still, yet its stillness breathes more beauty than its spinning ever did. It teaches a simple truth, that even in stillness, life may flourish, and that discarded things can hold new purpose when touched with imagination. As evening falls, the garden glows with lantern-like blossoms, shimmering beneath the fading light. The bicycle wheel trellis does not boast of grandeur, but of quiet resilience. It reminds every eye that lingers upon it that beauty is not always born from perfection, but often from the humble reinvention of what we once deemed useless. And so, in the gentle embrace of the garden, junk becomes joy, and trash becomes treasure, woven seamlessly into the story of a backyard that now blooms with color, memory, and renewed wonder. As twilight settles gently over the garden, the path begins to glow with quiet enchantment. Once dull tin cans, discarded and forgotten, have been reborn into lanterns of wonder. Their metal bodies, painted in hues of lavender, mint, and bronze, bear delicate cutouts, tiny stars, petals, and butterflies, through which the light of flickering candles escapes. The pathway, once simple stone, now feels like the entrance to a fairy tale world. Marigolds scatter golden sparks along the ground, while chrysanthemums rise in proud clusters of red and amber. Asters soften the scene with their gentle purples, and Japanese anemones sway like dancers under the whisper of the wind. Each flower leans towards the glow as if drawn to its warmth, painting the garden with color and radiance. Children, wandering hand in hand, giggle as their shadows stretch across the glowing path. Neighbors stop to admire, murmuring how ordinary junk has been transformed into a sight that feels almost otherworldly. The lanterns flicker, their flames bending with the breeze, and every tiny beam of light dances freely across leaves and blossoms. There is a poetry in these lanterns, for they remind us that light can emerge from even the humblest vessels. The rough edges of a once rusted can now serve as windows for brilliance, revealing that beauty does not demand perfection, it asks only for renewal. What was once trash now guards the garden with a magical serenity, a testament to the simple alchemy of imagination. As night deepens, the path seems endless, leading into dreams rather than destinations. The tin cans whisper their own story, that in every forgotten thing lies a spark waiting to be seen, and in every backyard lies the possibility of wonder. And so, in the quiet evening, the garden glows, not just with lanterns, but with hope, artistry, and the warmth of transformation. In the heart of a tiny garden, where space is modest but dreams are boundless, a rainbow quietly emerges, not in the sky, but along the fence line. Bamboo poles, once pale and ordinary, now stand proudly in radiant colors. Each stem is brushed with a hue of the rainbow, creating a joyful frame that embraces the blooms within. The garden, though small, feels infinite in spirit. Chrysanthemums blaze in shades of amber and red, echoing the warmth of autumn sunsets. Marigolds scatter their golden cheer, glowing like miniature suns at the fence's edge. Asters lift their soft purple crowns, while sedum autumn joy blushes into rich pinks and russet tones. Japanese anemones sway delicately, their petals like silken whispers against the vibrant backdrop. This bamboo rainbow fence does more than mark a border, it paints the garden with celebration. Children who pass by pause to stare, their laughter mingling with the songs of sparrows perched above. Neighbors smile, curious at how something so simple can breathe so much color into a space so small. The tiny yard, once overlooked, now commands attention, glowing with charm and creativity. There is a gentle truth in this creation: beauty does not demand wide landscapes or sprawling fields. Even in the smallest corners, joy can bloom when imagination is given room to play. Bamboo, humble and unassuming, has been given a second voice, this time not in forests, but in the language of color and artistry. As evening approaches, the fence still glimmers, its hues deepening in the golden hour light. The flowers lean toward it, as though the rainbow itself has called them closer. And in this union of nature and reinvention, the yard becomes more than a garden. It becomes a story of hope, color, and the power of transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. At the heart of the backyard stands a pergola, its beams weathered by time, yet adorned with a brilliance that only imagination could bring. From each beam dangle recycled glass bottles, once forgotten on dusty shelves or destined for the trash. Now, painted in hues of turquoise, amber, and violet, they glisten like jewels, shimmering under the soft touch of the sun. As daylight pours through the bottles, fragments of color scatter across the ground. A splash of emerald falls upon a chrysanthemum, turning its golden petals into green fire. A shard of violet caresses the soft crown of asters, deepening their beauty with borrowed light. Marigolds, already glowing with their own golden brilliance, reflect the amber tones as though lit from within. Even the modest sedum autumn joy blushes deeper, as though shy beneath the spotlight. Beneath this canopy of color, the garden becomes more than a place of soil and bloom. It becomes a sanctuary of light. Neighbors passing by pause at the sight, marveling at how mere bottles can summon such wonder. Children chase the shifting colors on the ground, laughing as the light dances like living rainbows. The pergola, once a simple shelter, has become a stage for nature's theater. There is something timeless in this transformation. The bottles, once containers for the ordinary, milk, soda, wine, now carry something far more precious, the ability to inspire. They remind us that beauty can be reborn, that even the plainest objects can catch the sun and scatter it into joy. As evening descends, the pergola glows with a softer magic. Lanterns flicker, blending with the fading colors in the bottles, while the flowers settle into the embrace of twilight. It is here, in this mingling of trash and treasure, that the garden speaks a quiet truth, that with a touch of care and imagination, the discarded may rise again, brighter, more beautiful, and more cherished than ever before. In a quiet backyard where flowers breathe with the rhythm of the wind, a forgotten object finds its rebirth. An old metal basin, once discarded as junk, has been given new life with a gentle coat of paint, sky blue soft as dawn, or rustic bronze glowing like twilight. Raised upon a wooden base, it no longer serves its past, but embraces a future as a sanctuary, a birdbath. Around it, the garden leans closer in celebration. Marigolds spill their golden laughter, chrysanthemums rise with autumn fire, and asters soften the air with their violet calm. Japanese anemones dance lightly nearby, their petals trembling as sparrows descend, eager to sip from the cool shallow water. Each flutter of wings sends ripples across the surface, shimmering like tiny secrets told only to the sky. Neighbors smile as they pass, charmed by the transformation. What was once a forgotten bowl, dull and unremarkable, has become the centerpiece of the garden, alive not only with flowers, but with the presence of visiting birds. In its stillness, the birdbath speaks a quiet truth. that beauty is found not in perfection, but in the care we choose to give. Children watch in wonder as robins splash joyfully, scattering droplets that catch the sun like falling gems. Butterflies hover nearby, as though reluctant to miss the celebration. Even the garden itself seems to hum, as though renewed by this union of life and color. There is poetry in this simple creation. The junk basin, once overlooked, now holds water that sustains and delights. Its new role is not grand, but meaningful, teaching us that nothing is truly without value. Not objects, not spaces, not even the smallest corners of our days. And so the rustic farmhouse birdbath stands, a witness to transformation. It whispers a gentle lesson, that renewal is possible, and that with imagination and kindness, even what was once discarded can become a wellspring of joy. In the gentle embrace of a garden corner, an old bicycle finds a new journey. Once a companion of winding roads and hurried errands, it now rests quietly, painted in shades of mint, cream, or sky blue. Its wheels no longer turn, but its heart still carries the spirit of travel, this time not through streets, but through seasons of bloom. The baskets, once filled with bread, letters, or fresh market finds, now overflow with flowers. Chrysanthemums spill like fireworks of amber and red, marigolds scatter their golden cheer, and asters raise crowns of purple and violet. Japanese anemones add their graceful white whispers, while sedum autumn joy blushes with rosy pride. Ivy trails along the spokes, softening the bicycle's frame, weaving it gently into the language of the garden. Birds perch lightly on the handlebars, while butterflies drift among the blossoms, as if drawn to the memory of movement. The bicycle has become not just an ornament, but a storyteller. It whispers tales of where it once traveled, now reimagined in colors and petals. Neighbors pause to smile, their eyes bright with surprise at the charm of junk reborn. Children point, enchanted by the sight of a flower bicycle, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves. The garden, already alive with blooms, now holds a centerpiece that feels almost magical, an everyday object transformed into an emblem of joy. There is beauty in its stillness. The bicycle reminds us that endings are not always final. Sometimes, they are beginnings of another kind. To rest does not mean to be forgotten. It can mean to bloom in new ways, to inspire in ways unimagined before. As evening light pours gold across the baskets, the flowers glow, and the bicycle itself seems to breathe again, not in motion, but in meaning. And in that moment, it teaches us that the cutest treasures often lie not in what is bought new, but in what is lovingly reborn. On a small patio where space is modest but dreams are vast, the sea quietly arrives, not with waves or tides, but with color and imagination. Tin cans, once dismissed as scraps of yesterday's meals, now gleam in shades of turquoise, seafoam, and coral. They stand proudly as planters, carrying blossoms that sway like little gardens of the shore. The chrysanthemums burn bright like the evening sun sinking into the horizon. Marigolds shimmer gold, their petals echoing the sandy glow of a seaside morning. Asters bloom in purples as deep as twilight skies, while sedum autumn joy blushes like seashells kissed by dusk. Japanese anemones stretch gracefully, their petals light as sea foam. At the base of the cans, seashells and smooth white pebbles gather, as though the ocean itself has whispered its treasures into the garden. Neighbors who pass this little patio pause, smiling at the unexpected beauty. What was once trash has become a seascape, a slice of the coast nestled far from the shore. Children lean close, tracing seashells with curious fingers, imagining the ocean breeze. And for a moment, the patio ceases to be just a space between walls. It becomes a memory of open skies, waves, and the endless horizon. There is a poetry in these seascape tin planters. They remind us that beauty is not bound by place. The ocean can live in colors, in textures, in the small quiet arrangements of flowers and painted steel. Junk, when touched by creativity, becomes a vessel not only for blooms but for dreams. As evening falls, the patio glows with the soft warmth of marigolds and the cool serenity of blue-painted cans. It feels as though the garden hums with the music of tides unseen. And so, in this small corner, the sea and the land meet, not with noise, but with quiet wonder, carried in blossoms, colors, and the soft resilience of reinvention. As dusk gently settles over the garden, light awakens not from the sky, but from within. Along the path, bottles dangle gracefully, each a lantern of quiet beauty. Once cast aside, these bottles now wear new skin, painted in jade, ivory, and moss. Their forms, simple yet refined, glow softly with the light of hidden flames. This is no ordinary backyard corner. It is a sanctuary. The gravel path crunches softly underfoot, bordered by smooth river stones that glisten in candlelight. Chrysanthemums bow their golden heads, marigolds scatter tiny suns along the ground, while Japanese anemones rise like silken moons. Asters and sedum autumn joy add their gentle hues, completing the palette of an autumn evening dressed in serenity. The bottles themselves tell a story. Once vessels of water, wine, or milk, they now cradle something more fragile, light itself. Suspended by bamboo poles, they sway gently with the night breeze, their flickering glow reflecting against leaves and petals. Each lantern is a reminder that even what is forgotten can be reimagined into something worth pausing for. Neighbors stop by, hushed by the calm that lingers here. They step lightly, as though afraid to disturb the harmony. Children stare wide-eyed, whispering that the garden feels magical, like a place where fireflies might dance. The soft light draws not only people but creatures of the night, moths, curious and silent, circling the glow. There is a meditative rhythm in the scene. The bottles glow, the flowers sway, the water in the stone basin ripples with shadows. And in that balance of light and stillness, the garden becomes something more than itself. It becomes a fragment of eternity, a gentle breath of peace. In these lanterns lies a truth: beauty is not in grand gestures, but in small transformations. Trash turned to treasure, bottles turned to lanterns, darkness turned to light. And in that transformation, the garden whispers its timeless lesson: serenity can be created, even from the humblest of things. the garden, a gazebo stands, not in grandeur, but in quiet charm. Its crown is unlike any other, a circle of old bicycle wheels, once abandoned, now reborn in hues of bronze, emerald, and sky blue. They rise above the roofline like a whimsical halo, catching the sun and scattering patterns of light across the garden floor. Beneath this unusual crown, the world softens. Chrysanthemums unfurl in fiery bursts of orange, asters bloom with their gentle purples, and marigolds sprinkle gold like confetti at a celebration. Japanese anemones nod gracefully in the breeze, while sedum autumn joy deepens in shades of rose and crimson. Ivy curls upward, embracing the wooden posts, as though eager to join the artistry above. Visitors pause at the sight, their eyes drawn upward. Children laugh, pointing at the wheels that spin tiny shadows when the wind stirs. Neighbors smile knowingly, enchanted by the creativity that transformed simple junk into a crown of delight. Even birds seem curious, circling before resting atop the colorful rims, as if to admire their perch. The gazebo becomes more than a shelter. It becomes a stage, a sanctuary, a throne for gatherings of warmth and laughter. The painted wheels, lifted high, remind all who enter that beauty is not always carved from marble or forged in gold. Sometimes it is pieced together from what we once cast aside, reimagined with care and color. As the sun dips lower, the wheels glow with an almost sacred light, their painted surfaces catching the last golden rays. Lanterns flicker within the gazebo, mingling with the painted crown above, and together they weave a story of renewal. There is poetry in this scene, the stillness of flowers, the play of light, the humble joy of trash reborn. The gazebo whispers gently that creativity is not bound by wealth or scale. It blooms in the heart, in the hands willing to see possibility where others see none. And so the crown of painted wheels reigns quietly, a reminder that even junk can shine when lifted into the light. Against the quiet strength of the garden fence, wings begin to stir, not in flight, but in art. From pieces of scrap metal, once bent and forgotten, butterflies have been born. Their bodies, cut and shaped with care, are painted in hues of turquoise, coral, bronze, and emerald. Though they will never take to the air, they shimmer with a still beauty that feels alive. Beneath them, the garden answers with color. Chrysanthemums blaze like autumn fire, marigolds scatter gold across the soil, and asters lift their violet crowns to the breeze. Japanese anemones sway lightly, while sedum autumn joy deepens into shades of rose. Together, flowers and butterflies compose a scene both rustic and magical, where junk and nature blend seamlessly. Neighbors pause when they pass this fence, their eyes caught by the unexpected wings of metal. What once was scrap has become a gallery beneath the open sky. Children stand in wonder, tracing the shapes with their small fingers, convinced the butterflies might take flight if they waited long enough. Even birds settle nearby, chirping as if in chorus with this quiet transformation. There is poetry in these butterflies, for they remind us that beauty can emerge from sharp edges, and that even cold steel can carry warmth when touched with imagination. They are symbols of change, of resilience, of the possibility that lies within the discarded. Where others saw rust and ruin, the garden now sees color and wings. As evening falls, The butterflies glow softly in the last light of the day, their painted wings reflecting gold and crimson. The fence, once plain, now tells a story of rebirth, creativity, and the delicate balance between nature and reinvention. And so the rustic butterfly fence stands, not as a boundary, but as an invitation. It whispers to all who see it, "Look again at what you cast aside, for within every fragment lies the chance to become something extraordinary." In the smallest of gardens, where every inch of space is precious, color rises toward the sky. Tin cans, once destined for the bin, now stand tall in playful towers, their skins dressed in vibrant coats of paint, red, yellow, turquoise, violet. Each tower hums with joy, transforming what was once junk into a living sculpture of blooms. From their rims spill marigolds, glowing like fragments of sunlight. Chrysanthemums unfold their fiery crowns, asters add their gentle purples, while sedum autumn joy drapes itself in rosy cascades. Japanese anemones stretch upward, delicate yet strong, their pale petals balancing the boldness around them. Together, they turn narrow corners into fields of wonder. Children who wander into this tiny yard look upward, wide-eyed, as though the towers might continue to climb endlessly into the sky. Neighbors smile, surprised at how simple cans could become such striking art. What was once overlooked, a discarded container, now rises proudly, carrying blossoms that lift both the garden and the spirit. There is rhythm in the towers, a harmony in their stacking. They tell a quiet story, that beauty is not limited by space, and creativity is not bound by cost. Even in the smallest backyard, a tower of color can bloom like a monument to imagination. As the day wanes, the evening light strikes the painted surfaces, deepening the reds, softening the blues, and setting the yellows ablaze. The flowers lean gently toward the glow, as though acknowledging the magic of their unlikely vessels. And so the towers stand, symbols of resilience, joy, and rebirth. In them lies a lesson, that no corner is too small to hold beauty, and no scrap too humble to be transformed into treasure. They rise not only as towers of cans, but as towers of hope, lifting the garden into a celebration of color, creativity, and life renewed. On a modest patio where sunlight falls in gentle streams, a curtain shimmers, not of fabric, but of glass. Dozens of bottles, once emptied and forgotten, now hang in delicate rows. Painted in turquoise, lavender, amber, and emerald, they glisten as the day's light pours through them, scattering colors like jewels across the ground. The effect is magical. Chrysanthemums glow brighter beneath emerald shadows, marigolds glimmer gold as sunlight bends through amber glass, and asters take on a mystical hue touched by violet light. Sedum autumn joy and Japanese anemones lean softly toward the glow, their petals catching fragments of painted brilliance. The patio, once simple, now feels like a stage where light performs its daily dance. Neighbors pause at the sight, enchanted by the thrifty creation. They marvel at how humble bottles, strung together with care, can transform the air itself into art. Children giggle as they chase patches of shifting color across the patio floor, their laughter joining the music of clinking glass bottles swaying gently in the breeze. There is serenity here, but also celebration. The curtain is not just a decoration, it is a transformation. It tells a story of renewal, of finding wonder in the simplest materials. Where others saw trash, the garden now sings with treasure, sparkling, vibrant, alive. As evening falls, the bottles catch the last rays of sun, glowing like lanterns hung in a secret garden. The patio becomes a haven, its curtain whispering with each sway, reminding those who linger that beauty often hides in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered by imagination. And so, the thrifty glass bottle curtain stands as both art and memory. It frames the garden not with walls, but with light, teaching that boundaries can be porous, playful, and filled with color. Here, in this humble creation, lies a truth as radiant as the bottles themselves, that even the smallest, cheapest things can scatter the brightest light. In the shade of a backyard pergola, a bicycle finds rest, not on the open road, but in the gentle arms of a garden. Its frame, once rusting and forgotten, now gleams in hues of mint, lavender, or bronze, leaning gracefully against the wooden beams. Where once it carried travelers, it now carries blooms, marigolds spilling like golden suns, chrysanthemums bursting with autumn fire, asters softening the scene with violet crowns. The wheels, woven with ivy, turn no more, yet they still carry motion, the motion of growth, the rhythm of leaves curling upward, the slow bloom of flowers against the sky. Baskets once meant for bread or errands now cradle sedum autumn joy and Japanese anemones, their blossoms weaving together memory and renewal. The pergola itself seems to embrace the bicycle, its beams trailing with vines that blend into the frame. Together, wood and steel, past and present, create a harmony that surprises every eye that beholds it. Neighbors pause, marveling at how an object so ordinary, once destined for discard, has become a focal point of rustic beauty. Children laugh, circling the bicycle, imagining it could still ride, though now its journey is of color, not distance. There is poetry in this transformation. The bicycle has not been silenced by stillness, rather, it speaks louder than ever. It tells a story of resilience, of finding a new path when the old one ends. The pergola, once only a shelter of shade, becomes a frame for that story, holding within it both structure and imagination. As the sun lowers, golden light filters through the bottles, the beams, the spokes of the bicycle. The flowers lean toward the glow, as though grateful for the vessel that carries them. And the pergola, crowned with this rustic accent, stands as a living canvas, proof that junk, with a touch of vision, can bloom into joy. Here, in the quiet embrace of the backyard, the bicycle rides again, not across roads, but across seasons, carrying with it not wheels, but wings of color. Along the quiet edges of the garden, a plain wall once stood, silent, gray, and without character. But now it breathes with color and pattern, transformed by the humblest of materials, cardboard. Cut, sealed, and painted with care, each fragment becomes a brushstroke in a larger mosaic, pieced together to tell a story of renewal. The panels gleam with hues of turquoise and coral, of mustard gold and deep blue. Some take the form of leaves, others of petals, others still of abstract geometry. Together, they ripple across the surface like a woven tapestry, alive with motion even in their stillness. At the base, chrysanthemums flare with autumn fire, marigolds scatter golden sparks, and asters soften the palette with their violet grace. Japanese anemones nod lightly nearby, their pale beauty echoing the painted forms above. What was once trash, thin, fragile cardboard, has become a lasting presence. Sealed against weather, it stands resilient, a testament to the power of reinvention. Neighbors stop to marvel, astonished that something so ordinary could now shine as art. Children run their hands across the painted textures, their imaginations alight with the thought that walls themselves might carry secret gardens within. The mosaic does more than decorate, it elevates. It turns the patio into a gallery, where blooms and brushstrokes speak in harmony. The cardboard pieces, once overlooked, whisper of possibility, that every surface can bloom, that even the most fragile of things can endure when given care. As the sun sets, the wall glows warmly, its colors deepened by the golden light. Shadows from the flowers stretch across the painted panels, blurring the boundary between art and nature. The wall is no longer silent, it sings with quiet joy, reminding all who see it that beauty is born not from wealth, but from vision. Here, in this small backyard, the cardboard mosaic stands as proof that transformation is always possible. It invites us to see beyond what is discarded and to dream in colors that never fade. Along the edge of the garden path, rows of tin buckets stand, once plain, once forgotten, now reborn in color. Each bucket wears a coat of paint, rust orange echoing autumn leaves, mustard yellow glowing like captured sunlight, sage green as soft as moss. Together they form a cheerful border, guiding every step through the garden with warmth and charm. From their rims, blooms spill like secrets. Chrysanthemums blaze in fiery tones of red and amber, marigolds scatter golden sparks as if the sun itself had descended to rest, while sedum autumn joy unfurls its blush of rose and crimson. Asters add their violet crowns, and Japanese anemones nod gracefully, their pale petals soft against the riot of color. Each flower sings in harmony with its vessel, and the buckets themselves seem proud to carry such life. The border does more than frame the garden, it tells a story. It speaks of renewal, of finding worth in the overlooked. These buckets, once destined for scrap, now hold not water or grain, but the laughter of blossoms. Neighbors pause to admire, their eyes alight with surprise at how ordinary metal can shine when paired with creativity. Children follow the path, touching each bucket as if they were stepping stones of color leading into another world. There is joy in their simplicity, a rustic charm that feels timeless. The buckets remind us that beauty does not demand perfection or wealth, it thrives in what we choose to cherish. Even humble vessels, when offered care, can hold abundance. As evening falls, golden light deepens the colors. Shadows stretch long across the path, while the buckets glow like lanterns filled not with flame, but with flowers. The garden feels whole, its edges not just contained but celebrated. And so, the autumn joy flower border stands quietly, carrying with it a lesson as radiant as its blooms, that even the most modest objects can frame a world of wonder, and that in every season, joy can be planted, nurtured, and shared.